Amidaji Essays by Gansen John Welch Sensei. Transience by Gansen John Welch Sensei. According to Shakyamuni Tathagata, the Buddha of our age, life in samsara is subject to suffering, impermanence, and non-ego. Some unenlightened human beings say that the transient nature of samsaric phenomena and experience means that we need not worry or take action when faced with negative and evil circumstances. But this statement cannot be applied indiscriminately to every situation without carefully considering the consequences of our inaction and laissez-faire attitude. Two examples from the 20th century should suffice to encourage us to reconsider our indifference as well as our intellectual, ethical, and physical laziness when confronted by evil and suffering caused by specific human activities and their supporting dogmas, ideologies, etc. The two examples are Russia when ruled by Stalin and China when ruled by Mao Zedong. These evil, cruel tyrannies lasted for about 70 years. In the case of Russia, that included many decades after Stalin's death in 1953, where there was some amelioration of the suffering, but no really significant improvement. For those interested in these crucially important topics, I highly recommend the works of Alexander Solzhenitsyn, particularly the Gulag Archipelago, and Alexander Zinoviev, particularly The Yawning Heights and The Radiant Future, and Stephen Kotkin's biography of Stalin. In the case of China, the communist tyranny has lasted since 1949, and Mao Zedong died in 1976, so in the subsequent decades there has been some amelioration in the suffering, but no really significant improvement. Mao mostly followed Stalin's tactics and strategies, but of course was responsible for more deaths given the much larger population in China. Since Mao's death, there has been an increase in techno-feudalism and medical techno-tyranny. Those who can join the dots and read between the lines can extrapolate past and current trends, etc., and get a glimpse of our probable future. It seems to me, as an unenlightened being, after much listening, reading, research, and reflection, that the future economic, political, military, and social prospects are increasingly likely to be very dark and dangerous. We cannot, if we care about the suffering of others as well as ourselves, adopt an attitude of indifference to the serious situation that we face. The vast majority appear incapable of or unwilling to understand reality and truth. They seem to accept the lies, propaganda, and indoctrination upon which our systems and societies are built. Those who have taken the time and made the effort to seek and find the truth should share their knowledge and insights. By so doing, they may be able to alert their fellow human beings to the very high probability of war, violence, martial law, repressive regimes with increasing premature deaths, rules, regulations, restrictions, taxes, and widespread suffering in general. We live in a world built on lies, propaganda, indoctrination, bribery, blackmail, corruption, threats, intimidation, coercion, control, conformity, and the use of force, violence, and martial law to ensure compliance. The majority of the world's population are in effect slaves and prisoners subject to ever-increasing and seemingly endless rules, regulations, restrictions, and laws deliberately designed to control and limit what we say and do. There are many cover stories and distractions designed to disguise the real intention of those with wealth and power. In essence, the destruction of an independent middle class and reducing everyone, except the so-called elite 1% of the population, to equality. This means in reality that 99% of the population will be equally poor and powerless. It will be a leveling down, not a raising up. The USA was once the land of the free and the home of the brave. But like present-day USA, now the whole world is the home of the powerless, poverty-stricken slaves living in their prisons and then dying in their paupers' graves. It is better to shine the light of knowledge, reason, evidence, probability, wisdom, and compassion than to stumble about blindly. The light of Amida Buddha and his Dharma is the best and brightest light, as well as our sole source of salvation. It is important to emphasize that living in the last Dharma age, or the age of Dharma decline, the other power of Amida Dharma and Amida's primal vow, or 18th vow, is the only means of liberation, because self-power practices are now useless and powerless in this spiritually dark and dangerous age. The following passages from the works of Master Shinran Shonin and Master Renyo Shonin will, I hope, illuminate, explain, and clarify the darkness, dangers, and suffering of samsara, as well as the easiest, best way to escape samsara. Renyo Shonin Ofumi, Gubanshu, The Letters of Master Renyo. Fascicle 1, number 11, On Lightning and Morning Dew. On deep contemplation we realize that the pleasures of human life last only as long as a flash of lightning or the morning dew, a dream or an illusion. Even if we enjoy a life of pomp and glory and can do as we wish, this is only a matter of some 50 to 100 years. If the wind of impermanence were to come even now and summon us, would we not suffer illness of one kind or another and die? And indeed, at the time of death, no part of either the family or the wealth on which we have depended for so long can accompany us. Thus, all alone, we must cross the great river of the three currents at the end of the mountain path that we take after death. Let us realize then that what we should earnestly aspire to is birth in the Pure Land and the afterlife, that one we should rely upon is Amida Tathagata, and that the place to which we go after faith is decisively settled is the Pure Land of serene sustenance. These days, however, the priests in this region who are Nembutsu people are seriously at variance with the Buddha Dharma. That is, they call followers from whom they receive donations good disciples and speak of them as people of faith. This is a serious error. Also, the disciples think that if they just bring an abundance of things to the priests, they will be saved by the priest's power, even if their own power is insufficient. This too is an error, and so, between the priests and their followers, there is not a modicum of understanding of our tradition's faith. This is indeed deplorable. Without a doubt, neither priests nor disciples will be born in the land of utmost bliss. They will fall in vain into hell. Even though we lament this, we cannot lament deeply enough. Though we grieve, we should grieve more deeply. From now on, therefore, the priests should seek out those who fully know the details of the great faith of other power. Let their faith be decisively settled, and then teach the essentials of that faith to their disciples. Together, they will surely attain the birth that is to come in the Pure Land, which is the most important matter. Respectfully, Bunmai 5, 1473, the middle of the 9th month. Lamp for the Latter Ages, by Master Shinran Shonin. 6. It is saddening that so many people, both young and old, men and women, have died this year and last. But the Tathagata taught the truth of life's impermanence for us fully, so you must not be distressed by it. I, for my own part, attach no significance to the condition, good or bad, of persons in their final moments. People in whom Shinjin is determined do not doubt, and so abide among the truly settled. For this reason, their end also, even for those ignorant and foolish and lacking in wisdom, is a happy one. You have been explaining to people that one attains birth through the Tathagata's working. It is in no way otherwise. What I have been saying to you all from the many years past has not changed. Simply achieve your birth, firmly avoiding all scholarly debate. I recall hearing the late Master Honen say, persons of the Pure Land tradition attain birth in the Pure Land by becoming their foolish selves. Moreover, I remember him smile and say, as he watched humble people of no intellectual pretensions coming to visit him, without doubt their birth is settled. And I heard him say, after a visit by a man brilliant in letters and debating, I really wonder about his birth. To this day, these things come to mind. Each of you should attain your birth without being misled by people and without faltering in Shinjin. However, the practitioner in whom Shinjin has not become settled will continue to drift, even without being misled by anyone, for he does not abide among the truly settled. Please relay what I have written here to the others. Respectfully, Buno, 1260, 11th month, 13th day. Zenshin, Master Shinran Shonen, written at 88 to Joshin Bo. Chapter on Practice. The vow that all the Buddhas say the name, the true practice of the Pure Land Way, the practice selected in the primal vow. 2. A collection of passages revealing the true practice of the Pure Land Way, compiled by Gotoko Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni. Reverently contemplating Amida's directing of virtue for our going forth to the Pure Land, I find there is great practice, there is great Shinjin. The great practice is to say the name of the Tathagata of unhindered light. This practice, embodying all good acts and possessing all roots of virtue, is perfect and most rapid in bringing about birth. It is the treasure ocean of virtues, that is suchness, or true reality. For this reason it is called great practice. This practice arises from the vow of great compassion, which is known as the vow that all Buddhas extol the name, the vow that all Buddhas say the name, and the vow that all Buddhas praise the name. It might also be called the vow of directing virtue for our going forth, and the vow in which the saying of the name is selected. The Sutra passages. The Buddha of immeasurable enlightenment bestows the prediction of our attainment. In my former life I made my primal vow. All people, if they hear my teaching of the Dharma, will, without exception, come and be born in my land. Thus, what I vowed will be all fulfilled. Those who wish to come from the other lands will all reach this place, attaining non-retrogression after one lifetime. Swiftly one transcends birth and death, and is able to attain the world of happiness, reaching the land of immeasurable light. One makes offerings to countless Buddhas. People not possessed of this virtue are unable to hear the name of this sutra. Only those who have observed the precepts without fault have now come to hear the right Dharma. Those of evil, arrogance, the hindrance of passions, and indolence will have difficulty in trusting themselves to this Dharma. But those who have encountered Buddhas in previous lives will joyfully listen to the teaching of the world-honored one. Rare is it to obtain human life, and difficult to encounter a Buddha's appearance in the world. Hard is it to attain the wisdom of entrusting. Should you meet with and hear this teaching, pursue it with diligence. If a person hearing and never forgetting this Dharma of the name, sees, reveres, and attains it, and greatly rejoices, then he or she is my excellent close companion. Therefore, awaken aspiration for enlightenment. Even when the world is filled with a great fire, pass through it and seek to hear the Dharma. Then you will unfailingly become a world-honored one, and free all beings from birth, aging, and death. The chapter on great beneficence, Scroll 2, in the Sutra of the Lotus of Compassion states, I vow that when I've attained supreme enlightenment, the sentient beings of the countless, innumerable, incalculable Buddha lands who hear my name will all cultivate roots of good and aspire for birth in my land. Further, I vow that after their lives have ended, I will unfailingly bring them to attainment of birth. Excepted are those who commit the 5 grave offences, who slander the sages, or who destroy the right Dharma. Namo Amida Bu.